start off by just doing a little intro about myself. So my background is so I studied computer science. I was a software engineer for many years. Started my own company. Was pretty passionate about that industry for many years, and then sort of by accident got into real estate initially with short-term rentals about 7 years ago, and then learned about multifamily investing. And lo and behold, one thing after another, learned about financial independence and passive income, and started investing in multifamily properties. And 3 years ago, actually quit my job and made real estate my full-time gig. And so now that's basically my full-time business, and happy to kind of talk about some of the deals, what I do, and so forth. But yeah, I love real estate. That's what I do. And West Forest Capital has helped me along the way, so happy to be here to share the story.
No, that's really cool. And before we get into the deals, one thing you mentioned that I think would be very interesting to expand on is how did you get into the business by accident? That's not something you hear every day.
Yeah. So funny thing is, I live in Massachusetts, and my mom actually wanted to buy a vacation home on the Cape, which is a vacation area at Cape Cod in Massachusetts. And so when we were thinking about purchasing the property, there was no plan for investing in terms of renting it out or using a vacation rental, Airbnb. I'm not even sure it existed at the time. And so we purchased the house because my mom simply wanted to have, her own house to drink a cup of coffee on Saturday mornings in the summer. And so we purchased a house that I was like, Mom, we should try to rent this out. And so I started, I put it up on VRBO, then the Airbnb came along, and so I started renting it out, and all of a sudden it's renting out for good money, good profit. And so then I bought a second house the next summer, bought another house the next summer, and that kind of became a side hustle that now is a full-time job. So it was definitely an accident, but a fortuitous one.
Sometimes accidents have lead to the best results. So that's
exactly.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
So maybe we could talk about one of the deals that I know you're involved in a lot of deals, but maybe we can take a deep dive into one of them. Is there any particular one that kind of stands out to you? I know we financed a couple of yours. Any one of those that might be worth taking our listeners through?
Yeah. So I think there's a good story to share with a property. So I live in the suburbs of the Boston area. So around here, finding a deal is quite difficult. So this particular deal was a multifamily property in the suburbs, this town called Maynard, and not too far from my house. So the market is such that for the last 5 years or so, basically finding a deal, you need to use some kind of creative strategy. So whether you're doing direct mail campaign, whether you're trying to find deals off market with brokers, or reaching out to sellers directly. So there's many different techniques to use. But this specific deal, I actually got surprisingly enough on MLS. So I checked MLS one fortuitous afternoon, and this was literally there for a minute. I reached out to the broker the next minute, and I went to see it. That same hour, I drove over. I took a tour of the property, and because the market is so competitive, I had to provide an offer very quickly, and it had to be a cash offer. Part of the reason it had to be a cash offer because the house needed a good amount of work. It needed a new septic system. It needed new kitchens, new bathrooms. Just a facelift across the building, the replanning of the reconfiguration of some of the layout. So effectively, it really needed to a good substantial investment in somebody who was ready to do the work. And so the asking price was, I think it was like $425. I offered $375, and we ended up at $385. But I didn't have that kind of cash at the time. And so I reached out to Jacob at West Forest Capital. I told them about the property. I showed them kind of the plan for the building. And so they were able to help fund the project. So West Forest Capital, they initially provided $300,000. I put down $85,000 and we closed on the property. And then I needed to get a new septic system that was maybe $25,000. It needed new kitchens, new bathrooms, basically everything. So it needed the building to really be brought up to top shape. And so that was about a year's worth of work of about $115,000 investment all in. So all in, the investment at the end of the year was about $500,000 that was put into the property. To be exact, it was like $490. And so I was able to, as I was doing the work, I would get payouts from West Forest Capital. As I showed them, I just got a new septic system, I got new kitchens, new bathrooms. As I was doing the work, they were cutting me checks so I could keep doing the work and help me with the cash to make the renovations. At the end of the year, I was able to refinance the project with a bank. So it was a local bank that the appraisal came back at $650,000. So essentially, in about a year's worth of work, the amount of equity that was built up in the property was $160,000. And so I still own the property today. It's still cash flowing quite well. Each apartment has tenants. They're happy tenants. Each tenant is paying about $2,000 a month. So it's about $8,000 of rent, which for the area is pretty normal. But again, initially for a project that I was able to purchase for $385,000, that would be unheard of in this area without having an aggressive strategy for acquisition with a capital partner like West Forest Capital. So that was a very successful acquisition, renovation, and refinance for this property. So I still own it. Very excited about it. Yeah.
So no, that's wonderful. And we love hearing stories like that. So it seems to me that you invested $85,000 of your own and basically of your own money and doubled it in a year, and that's in addition to collecting $8,000 of rent every month. Is that correct?
So it's more than 80. So I put in 80. Right. So I put in $85,000 exactly, and then the amount of money that basically the equity that I had in the property of owning was 160. Right. So you're right. So basically, I put in $85,000, and then I got all my money back, and I got $160,000 on top of that. So, and that was actually a couple of years ago. So maybe it was like a year ago. And so since then, obviously we all know what's happened with the market. So since then, the market has appreciated even further, and so the property is basically has been a home run. And you're absolutely right. So the cash flow is probably the biggest advantage here is the holding of the property. So if it brings in $8,000, but the debt service and all the expenses on the property are probably around about $5,000, then you basically get to cash flow, take home about $3,000 a month. So again, there's no way that this property would have stayed on the market if I wasn't able to jump at it, see it that same day, and come in with a cash offer where West Forest Capital was able to partner with me, and we were able to close within a week of seeing the property. So it was basically see the property, give it an offer, contact the lawyers, West Forest Capital was ready to wire the money, and we closed within about a week.
That's great. Glad we were able to help. Obviously, we understood the time sensitivity of it. Can you talk a little bit about the rent increases and kind of how you went about doing that? Did you have to, change tenants? What was your strategy there?
Yeah. So it's kind of sometimes a difficult thing to do when investing in a multifamily property. A lot of people are very price sensitive that are living in these properties, and so you have to know the strategy up front, what you're going to do, and be comfortable with sort of having that conversation with the tenants to see if they're willing to go through the renovation process or if they're going to find a new home. And so in this particular case, unfortunately, all the tenants that were at the property ended up finding a new home. Part of the reason was they probably didn't want to live through the renovation, but secondly, their initial rents were probably half the size of what it was after the renovation. Part of it was that the previous owner, he was quite elderly. He was sort of, I don't want to say mismanaging the property, but he wasn't really actively managing it. He was kind of, he's probably held the property for many, many, many years. And so he hasn't raised the rents for many, many, many years. And so oftentimes tenants like that. They don't, the rent doesn't go up. They live there for a long time. But those kinds of prices don't exist in this neighborhood. And so, again, in this particular case, the tenants ended up finding a new home. And after the property was renovated, we put it up on, apartments.com and Zillow and Facebook Marketplace, whatever, put up a sign. And so there was ample amounts of applications, lots of people looking for new homes that are nice and clean and renovated and well managed. And so we were able to provide excellent new places for people to live with the process. So again, it's not always the same people that will stay through the renovations, but oftentimes it still has a good end result with happy tenants living in the property.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and it's very much a textbook success story.
Yeah.
So what's your plan for the future? How many doors do you own now, and kind of what are your plans to expand, if any?
Yeah. So I've been focused mostly. So as you start, I think like most people, you start out with maybe single family house, and then you try maybe a 2-family, duplex, triplex. So I've been kind of acquiring properties over the last few years for basically under 10 apartments per building. And so at this juncture in my career, I have 44 apartments, 44, happy to say, cash flowing apartments that are in good business, and I'm very happy to have a buy and hold strategy with these properties. But I've been in the process of, at the moment, looking at a 30-unit apartment property, actually doing due diligence right now, under contract. And so if this goes through, then it'll jump me up to basically almost double the amount of property, almost double the amount of apartments that I have, to 74. So I think my strategy going forward is to try to accelerate the growth by going after bigger properties, making larger investments, maybe start to partner with people that have aspirations for larger properties. So West Forest Capital very likely to be part of that equation as I grow my portfolio. But again, at the moment it's 44, which is a pretty good number, but I'm certainly looking to scale up, and I think going bigger and finding the right opportunities is the right strategy. And when those opportunities present themselves, then again, you have to be very aggressive in your acquisition strategy. And so that's where having a partner, a capital partner like West Forest Capital, really helps and gives you an advantage over some other folks in the market that may need a longer closing cycle to go through the bank and to kind of, do the whole kind of, 3-month process to close. Whereas if I could close in a week, that could really be a competitive advantage over other people that are looking. There's a lot of people looking right now. There's a lot of people looking.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we see that all the time. But absolutely, with your assertiveness and work ethic and real estate acumen, I have no doubt that you will be continuing on your successful journey for many years to come, and we'll be there partnering with you as needed.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Jacob. It's been a pleasure working with you guys at West Forest Capital, and I look forward to working with you guys again in the near future. This deal and the other ones we've done have been quite smooth So I have no hesitation to do it again soon. Looking forward to it.
Thanks for the shout out and thanks for coming on the show.
Yep. Thanks, guys.